Hi everybody, it's Andy here with this instructional video, which is an introduction to how you'll be tested on what you've learned in your digital literacy classes at the end of the course next May. And it's also a bit of extra practice on something we did in the very first week of the course, which is creating folders in OneDrive and sharing them with others. So we've spent the first 6 weeks of the course getting to know some digital tools like Padlet, OneDrive, Hackpad, Sway, Socrative and Kahoot. And I hope you found that fun and you've learned a lot, but it's time now to start thinking about how you're actually going to be tested or assessed at the end of the course. Okay, so the way you'll be assessed is by doing something called a controlled task. Now, you won't get to see a real controlled task until you're ready to be assessed towards the end of the course, probably next May of next year. But I'm going to talk you through the first introduction part of a mock control task today. Not a real one, but a pretend one. And you'll also get a chance to try part one of the task. There are actually 4 parts altogether to the task. Here's the first page of it. Now, there's a lot of reading to begin with in a control task. There's no hiding away from that. So I'd like you to pause the video now and take a couple of minutes to familiarise yourself with this first page and then come back to the video. Okay, so hopefully you've had a chance to read through this then and just familiarise yourself with it. To begin with, actually, it won't mean a huge amount to you. Today is just really about seeing one for the first time so that when you do the real one, it won't be the first time you see it. So here you can see you've got various information about what the control task is. You can see here's the first hint that it's about something to do with the careers fair. It's a sample control task. It's not a real one, so it's called sample one. There's a box there for on the day of the real test. You can add your information to that one. Notice here you'll have up to 4 hours to do the control task. You won't be asked to do that all in one go. You'll be glad to hear we'll be splitting that over a number of sessions to be decided at some point. And as we move down the page there's a table for either myself or for you to fill in when the time comes, showing how many sessions you took to actually do the control task, what the date was of each session and the duration, so that the exam board can see how you split up that 4 hours. So that's page 1 of the control task out of the way pretty quickly. And here's page 2 of the control task. Again, a lot of reading to be done on these particularly the first 3 pages of the control task. So again, pause the video there and just read through that. Familiarise yourself with it. Just by reading it, you won't necessarily understand every single word, but just, as I said with the previous page, just so that when you see the real one in May, it won't be the first time you're seeing one. So just pause the video there and just familiarise yourself with that page, and then we'll carry on. So having studied that page, then you can see that it's a bit like the pages you get at the front of exams, GCSE exams and so on, where it just reminds you about things you really have to be aware of before you do the exam, like the work must be entirely your own and things like this. And you have to sign various things and that sort of thing. Again, we're not, this first video just covers, you're going to have a go at part 1 of the task. There are 4 tasks altogether, 4 parts to the task, I should say. So this really is just so that you haven't seen it for the first time when you see the real thing. Notice here it says you must complete parts 1 and 2 and 4 of the task entirely on your own, but part 3 you will be doing with other people. So some very useful information there about the real control task when that comes around, and the practice ones that we'll be going to be doing before we do the real thing. So that's page 2 out of the way. Now page 3 is when a little bit of the introduction and the sort of the preamble to the control task ends, and you actually start being told what you're actually going to do. And it starts with the scenario. And that is the theme or the story of this control task, which will run through the whole task. So once again, familiarise yourself with that. And once again, it isn't necessarily about understanding every single word. Just familiarise yourself with page 3 there, and we'll come back and we'll carry on after that. So pause the video there and have a read through this page. So you should now understand the scenario and the idea of the careers fair and your part that you're going to play in that careers fair in this first mock control task. There's an overview section here as well, which is, it's actually about the whole control task, which as I say, takes 4 hours in total. We're not going to get all of it done today and all of it practiced today. So I'm not going to go through that word for word, but it does tell you about what you're going to do in the future. As I warned you, there's a lot of reading involved in these control tasks, so make sure you've read all of that and just got a feel for it, even if you don't necessarily feel you understand every single word. It's just about what to expect in the control task, this overview section. But down here in this paragraph here is something that is important for what we're going to do today, because you're going to practice using this mock control task. You're going to practice doing part 1 of the 4, which is to set up a structured filing system. This should allow you to create and develop information for ease of storage, retrieval and sharing. The system must show that you can manage information as you develop and finalize the materials which will be used for advertising. This leads us into part 1, which we're going to practice doing today, which will involve creating a couple of folders in OneDrive, naming them correctly and appropriately, and creating a file, a Word file, and storing it in one of the folders. So let's move on to the next page, which is actually the tasks themselves. If there's anything so far you haven't understood, rewind the video, look at it again. It's important you understand where we've got to so far before you go on to the next bit. So pause if you need to there, rewind, etc., before you move on. So here's the beginning of the actual tasks themselves. Everything up to this point has been an introduction, explanation of what's going to happen, and only at this point do you actually start being told what you have to actually do. And today, what I'd like to do is just practice part 1. Remember, there are 4 parts altogether. So have a read through part 1. Again, here, it's not so much about understanding it word for word, really, but just getting used to what you're going to have to do. And then, so pause the video and do that, and then we'll come back. Okay, so hopefully you've read that, and I did warn you earlier on, there is a lot of reading to be done, but that's the end of the reading and the time to start actually doing something. So what you'll need to do now is go ahead and do the following things. You'll need to get yourself onto OneDrive, just like we did in the first week of the course, and create in total 3 folders. To meet part 1.1 here, you must set up an appropriate folder structure with at least 1 folder and 2 subfolders. So 3 in total. 2 of the 3 will be within the other one. One of your subfolders should be used for planning and drafts of the careers fair scenario, and the other one for final resources. There's a clue there about what you should be calling them as well, because your file and folder names should indicate what information is stored in them. So one of your subfolders will be used for storing things to do with planning and drafts, and the other one for final resources. So think about what you're going to be calling them there. Those 2 will be within a folder, and what you call that one is up to you. But remember the scenario, remember what this control task is about as you name that first folder. So just to recap, then you'll create a folder, the name of which is your choice, but remember the scenario. Then 2 folders within that, and there's big clues in this section here about what those folders should be called. Now, so at this point, you'll need to go over to OneDrive and actually create those 3 folders. One main folder with a name of your choice, and the 2 subfolders. If you can't remember how to create subfolders, if you can't remember how to create folders in OneDrive, then what you'll need to do is go back and have a look at the video I created in week 1 about how to do that. And here's the bit.ly that will take you to that. So if you can't remember how to get onto OneDrive, how to create folders, and how to share them, you'll need to go back and have a look at that one, and then come back to this video and carry on with actually creating them. So if you can remember how to do that, then stick with the video. If you can't, go ahead, stick that bit.ly into a browser of your choice and watch that video, and then come back to this one. Okay, so at this point, you're either happy that you can go and create those folders in OneDrive, or you've had to watch the video that tells you how to do that. Either way, what you should now do is go ahead and do that now, is create those folders in OneDrive and share the main folder, just the main folder with me. You don't need to share the subfolders because they will be inside that main folder. So you just share the main folder with me. So go away and do that now, and then come back to this video. If you haven't understood any or part of that, again, watch this video again, but go away now and create those folders in OneDrive. Okay, so by this point, if you're stuck with everything and everything's been successful, you should now have created your 3 folders with their appropriate names and shared the main folder with me. The final bit for today is what I'd like you to do is to cover this bit of part 1, which is I'd like you to go and create a Word file, and you can either do that, a Word file in OneDrive. That would be the best way to do it, because then you wouldn't need to, there would be less messing around really. Or you can create a Word file just on Word on the computer, but then you'd have to upload it to the cloud. So the best thing to do is create a Word file in the appropriate folder, and I'll leave that up to you at this point. One of the 3 folders you created just now, create a Word file within it, and just for now, just copy and paste this text that I've highlighted here in your file record, and then those 3 bullets there. Just copy and paste that into the Word file, and that should go into the appropriate one of the folders you've just created. So if you go away and do that now, you're also actually covering 1.4 there as well, which is store this file in appropriate folder. So go away and do that. When you've done that successfully, come back to the video. Okay, so if you've made it this far in the video, you're very nearly finished. You should then have created 3 folders in your OneDrive area. 1 main folder, which you've given an appropriate name. 2 subfolders, which you've given appropriate names as well. And in the appropriate one of those subfolders, you've saved a file, a Word file, which just includes that information, copying and pasted it in there. So if you've done that, you've done very, very well indeed. Let me know if you think you've done that. The sign that you've done it, that you've been successful, will be I'll be able to see those shared folders and that file. So when you think you've finished, let me know and I'll check that and I'll let you know if you've been successful. What I'll do then is I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, so I hope you've been successful with that. Well done. If you haven't been successful, you just need to watch the video again and have another go and keep trying at it, so that you will you're familiar then with part 1 of the control task, and there are only 4 parts to it, so you've done quite a big section of it there. So thanks for listening to this instructional video about how you'll be tested on what you've learnt in your digital literacy classes next May sometime, and also you've had a bit of extra practice on creating folders in OneDrive and sharing with others. So I'll see you on the next video.